This is South America, and nestled on its western edge is a country called Peru, home to ancient civilizations, breathtaking coastal views, and more recently, the site of a massive Chinese megaproject that's raising eyebrows around the world. China didn't just show up here as a curious tourist, snapping photos of Machu Picchu. It arrived the way it usually does, backed by billions of dollars, dredging ships, and heavy equipment. Off the coast near the capital, Lima, a once quiet shore erupted with activity as ships began scooping millions of tons of sand from the ocean floor. And in classic Chinese style, there was a tunnel too. After all, what's a Chinese infrastructure project without a tunnel drilled straight through rock? So what's this all about? In short, China is building a direct gateway into South America, one that could bypass traditional routes, speed up trade, and challenge the current balance of global logistics. But to really understand why this matters, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. At the dawn of the 21st century, trade between South America and China was more of a footnote than a headline. In the year 2000, China exported about $8.5 billion worth of goods to countries like Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Peru. In return, those nations sent just $3.9 billion worth of goods to China. At the time, less than 2% of Latin America's exports were going to China. Fast forward to the 2020s, and the picture looks very different. Between 2000 and 2008, trade between China and Latin America grew at a staggering average rate of 31% per year. By 2021, the total trade volume between the two had skyrocketed to an unprecedented $450 billion. And by 2022, those numbers had climbed even higher. China was importing nearly $200 billion worth of goods from South America, everything from soybeans and meat to copper and oil. In return, Latin American countries were buying over $33 billion worth of Chinese goods. According to the Economic Commission for Latin America, between 2010 and 2022, South America supplied almost one-third of China's total food imports. The region also played a critical role in feeding China's massive industrial machine with oil, cooking oil, and essential minerals. But one export stood out above the rest: lithium. South America, especially the Andes region, is rich in lithium, a critical component for electric vehicle batteries. And with China leading the global EV race, that lithium is more valuable than ever. In exchange, South America receives everything from telecom equipment and computers to industrial machinery, household electronics, toys, clothing, and even fertilizers. Roughly half of China's exports to Latin America are machines and industrial goods. Around 27% are consumer electronics and home items, and the rest range from clothes to chemicals. The relationship is simple. South America provides raw materials, and China sends back finished goods. But for all this trade to work efficiently, one major hurdle had to be overcome: transportation. Ideally, goods would travel in a straight line between the western ports of South America and Chinese ports on the Pacific coast. But due to limited port infrastructure and geography, the most common route for goods heading deeper into South America, especially to its eastern side, involves passing through the Panama Canal. Here's the problem. The canal is narrow, often congested, and very sensitive to environmental conditions. It was never designed for the scale of modern megashipping. In 2023, the canal faced one of its worst challenges. El Niño caused higher temperatures and reduced rainfall across the region. Gatun Lake, which feeds the canal's lock system, saw its water level fall dangerously low, from the normal 88 feet to just 78. That meant fewer ships could pass, and they had to carry less cargo. At one point, nearly 200 vessels were stuck in line, waiting for their turn. The daily capacity of the canal dropped from the typical 36 ships down to just 22. To make matters worse, the Panama Canal Authority reduced the maximum ship draft from 49 feet to 43, forcing ships to lighten their loads even further. This added costs and delays, two things global trade cannot afford. And even when everything works smoothly, the Panama Canal is still expensive. Insurance fees for ships using the canal can reach $200,000 per trip. For companies looking to move products fast and cheap, the canal is no longer the ideal route it once was. That's where China's new plan comes in. In 2019, the Chinese state-owned shipping giant COSCO partnered with Peruvian company Vulcan to build something big: the Chanque Port Terminal, located roughly 50 miles north of Lima. While ideas for a deepwater port in the area had been floated since 2007, this time, it wasn't just talk. Ground was broken, ships arrived, and construction began in earnest by 2021. The port's first phase includes 4 massive berths, 2 for containers, 2 for general cargo, each stretching over 1,300 feet. But the standout feature is what lies beneath: depth. Chancay is being dredged to accommodate post-Panamax ships, those too large to pass through even the expanded Panama Canal. With a maximum depth of 58 feet, Chancay will become the first port on South America's west coast capable of receiving megaships, carrying up to 18,000 containers. For comparison, the old Panamax standard fits ships with a 41-foot draft, while Neo-Panamax vessels can go up to 50 feet. Anything larger is out of bounds for the canal. Chancay changes that. And yes, there's a tunnel, just over a mile long, connecting the port directly to Peru's Pan-American Highway. It features 3 traffic lanes, conveyor belts for bulk goods, and pipelines for liquid cargo. Drilled straight through solid rock, the tunnel ensures cargo gets from ships to trucks fast, with minimal disruption. On top of that, the port includes 2 container yards, 2 general cargo yards, and a 1.6-mile-long breakwater built using millions of cubic feet of concrete and thousands of acropods, giant concrete blocks designed to absorb wave energy and protect the shoreline. Even before construction finishes, the port has started operations. The first shipment to leave Chancay was a symbolic one: 20,000 tons of fresh fruit, including blueberries, grapes, avocados, and mangoes, bound for Shanghai. The journey took just 23 days, far quicker than the older routes. Not long after, the port received its first batch of electric vehicles from China, signaling the start of two-way trade. Once complete, Chancay is expected to handle 1 million TEUs, 20-foot containers, per year. Plans are already in place to expand that to 1.5 million TEUs and process 40,000 tons of cargo daily. Shipping time between Asia and South America could drop by nearly 2 weeks. More importantly, Chinese ships won't need to rely on the Panama Canal or offload goods in the U.S. or Mexico first. This is a logistical revolution for South America, and a geopolitical one too. Let's take a moment to consider the bigger strategic implications. What would happen if the U.S. saw a Chinese megaproject being built just south of Mexico? Wait, that's exactly what's happening. China's footprint in Latin America is growing fast, not just with ports, but also with railways, mines, highways, and power plants. And while many Latin American governments welcome the investments, others, particularly in Washington, are watching with concern. Ports aren't just for cargo. They can eventually support naval ships, surveillance systems, and strategic influence. While Chancay is currently a commercial project, its long-term significance could easily extend beyond trade. As Chancay grows, the impact will ripple beyond Peru and China. Other Asian countries like South Korea, Japan, and Vietnam could also benefit from the new trade route. Likewise, South American exporters will gain faster access to booming Asian markets. This port isn't just a concrete and steel facility on the Pacific. It's a symbol of shifting power, economic and strategic, and it may very well redefine how goods flow between 2 major regions of the world. So next time you hear about blueberries in Shanghai or EVs in Lima, just remember, behind it all is a port, a tunnel, and a $3 billion bet on the future of global trade.